Matt Lenihan Boxing Social in association with Empire Fight Store and Forged Irish Stout. Delighted to be joined by H, aka H Boxing. H, look, I know how close you are with Michael. This is a huge week for him. It's titled The Get Back, and he's took himself away. We know the mood after the Lopez fight, but he seems to have fallen back in love with the sport now under Pedro Diaz. Training in Miami, has come back. It seems a different demeanour from him this week.
Yeah, I was obviously, when you're used to things being a certain way and fight week being a certain way, and then there's a change, you're always anticipating how that change is going to be. And I think you've said it yourself that he's excellent. He's 100%, and he's ready. I think he's looking forward to it. In his words, is that he's never been more excited to fight than what he feels. And I've not heard him say that before. And me being one of the people, like I said, that I've known him the longest been there, I've not heard him say that before. So if Michael's saying that, I'd be very excited to see what that looks like.
I was going to say, I think there's a phrase that's always used, a happy fighter is a dangerous fighter, and he's coming into this happy. Obviously a serious job to be done, but smile on his face, looks ready to flex his muscles and put on a show. Is that the sort of vibe you're getting?
Yeah, definitely. Things are a little bit different. When I say anything a little bit different as well, like he's been working out on Monday compared to what he would normally do, or Tuesday, things are obviously a little bit different. There's a new general on board, so it's like we're letting him guide the way. Do you know what I mean? And Mick's an excellent student. Mick does as do you know what I mean? What he's told to do, he'll crack on with it. But yeah, you're right. He's happy, and that seems dangerous. And it's like he'd already bring action and go to war as it is. So what does this bring us?
You've seen him and Pedro operate, I know, down there for the last sort of couple of weeks since he came back from Miami. What have you noticed? What sort of impressed you with Pedro? Because obviously a different style of trainer to Adam. Obviously everyone has their own techniques and different styles. He's worked with a lot of fighters, from your Miguel Cottos, Rickendaus. You know, he absolutely loves boxing. Like Mick were telling me, he messaged him after the Lopez fight, he didn't even see it, like kind of thing straight away. What do you like about Pedro Diaz?
Well, I think he's got Mick looking like the Irish Miguel Cotto, and I think up there with one of my top 5 was Miguel Cotto. And then we was cracking a joke the other day, and Pedro goes, Miguel Cotto's MC and Michael Conlan is also MC, right? So I started laughing, and he's just got them. He's just got that spring in his legs again, where that he's got the legs. And like I said previously, that he's learned some amazing things of brother Adam. Combining that together now with what Pedro's given him with the Cuban style and the legs being back on form and the combinations back. Mick loves a combination, and not giving too much away. But I remember recording those spars between Jordan and Mick. I see those combinations, and so if those combinations are back, then get your popcorn ready, baby.
I was just about to say, we've seen Michael over the last few fights fight a particular style, and he has shared rounds with Jordan, and you can take certain things from sparring, other times you cannot, because it's how you perform under the lights. Just having the same chat with Harlem, but in your mind, and without giving it away, how do you see it panning out in there? Obviously I know you're backing your man, but is it going to be destructive? Do you just see him outclassing him? So have you got a feeling of how this is going to go?
Yeah, in my and I respect every single fight. I'll always say this, right? I never mean to trash talk. I never mean to disrespect any fighter that goes into the ring. Alhamdulillah, I've been in that position to fight, so I say everything with the utmost respect. But from the bottom of my heart, DAZN said something quite smart, which is like what you're saying, that when you just visualize a feeling and you visualize a scene in a fight. I just don't see Jordan coming out on one of the rounds. I just see him not coming out. And it's that, or it's the canvas.
In terms of Michael and his talent, we see a lot of fighters who become world champion. We see how hard he dedicates himself. For him in his career, does he need to be crowned world champion before he's stopped?
He said in the interview there, he goes, we're that much close, is what he said. And I always, when you know someone in front of the cameras and behind the cameras, you know whether that person's being real or not, and whether that person's actually telling the truth. And alhamdulillah, that's one thing that I sincerely love about this guy, is that he's just real. It's just real. It's Marmite. It's mustard. You either like it or you don't. But it's real stuff. Do you know what I mean? And he said perfectly. He goes, we're just that much away, and inshallah he'll get that. He'll get that. He's like I said, he's ticking all the boxes that need to be ticked, and he's that much away from being crowned world champion, man.
Moving away from Michael a little bit, we know you look after a lot of fighters, whether you're lead coach, helping out, whatever you're doing, you do a tremendous job down there. Kurt Walker, another victory under his belt. But he sort of goes, I'd say, a little bit under the radar because he's like the way he's not he's not really outspoken, but he's building his career nice. I believe he's at 8-9 now. Yeah. He's cracking on now, and there's big things to come from him. I know, say Conlan Boxing and everyone else, they have high hopes for him. How pleased are you with Kurt, and obviously with your tutelage and the team, with where he's at right now?
Kurt's in a beautiful position in the sense that when we talk about the management side, Jamie and Mick are an amazing combination to have behind any fighter because they tell it as it is, they've done it themselves, and they're on a successful promotional business, right? Having people like that is one thing. Alhamdulillah, I would like to say that I've been studying. Well, I've been in boxing now for 22 years. Be it was fighting at whatever level, training at whatever level, coaching at whatever level, and then alhamdulillah at least at an elite level for at least about nearly the last 10 years, right? Having seen various different trainers, I'd like to believe that alhamdulillah I'm putting all my efforts into these guys that I'm working with. And Kurt now is in a position where he's done nearly the first 10 fights. He's 9-0 with the guys who are durable, getting the rounds underneath his belts. We've had some crazy guys turn up where they've actually tested Kurt. Now we're ready for a fight. Now we're ready for a fight. I would like Kurt to not be a trash talker, but in this game you do have to talk a bit for the cameras, and you do have to call out some names. So what happens is that it gives everyone from promoters to managers to fighters an indication of what's in front of them and who wants them. Do you know what I mean? If I know that there's a target on my back, then I'll look back at that target and be like, cool, let's get it. Do you know what I mean? And I think Isaac Lowe, Lee McGregor, those are obviously the finer names that are there that would, I think, bring a good bit of quid and be a good fight. Kurt needs someone who's going to commit to a jab, who's actually going to try and win a fight.
Come to try win.
Yeah. I need someone who's going to genuinely come to try and win, not try to be a threat in a fight, which he said so far. The guys so far, they want to be a threat, but they don't want to go, they obviously don't want to get stopped and all the rest of it. And I think that's when we'll see the best Kurt. Timing shots, body shots, all the rest of it. Yeah, he's not the biggest of punchers, but his timing's excellent. And if he can catch the shot at the right time, put some good names away.
Well, let's talk about you as a trainer, because we always get the fighter side of it, even the promoters, a lot of it. But in terms of where you're at, obviously professional fighter, you've seen a lot, and you've seen it from different standpoints. What's the biggest lesson you've learned as a trainer, coach in this game? Because you learn some tough ones. What's the biggest ones you've learned?
Alhamdulillah, one thing, not to blow smoke or blow my own trumpet, but I'd like to see myself as someone who's a good student, number one. Coming from like an Islamic background, there's a lot of studying to do, books, so on and so forth, interpretations of things and X, Y, Z, right? And one thing is that I have learned and I continue to learn off Brother Adam some amazing things. Spent some time over at Floyd's gym, learned some amazing things. Had Wayne Alexander once upon a time who was coaching me, an amazing fighter. Do you know what I mean? The likes of Pedro Diaz now, who's like a scientist, amazing. Exactly, like so. And I soak it in. I write it down. I hear it, and I think it's important not to get lazy. It's important for a coach not to be lazy, and you have to study this craft. And just when you think that you're doing enough is when you genuinely realise that you're not doing enough. There's guys who are doing a lot more. That's a different story altogether. If I tell you how my mind's been blown the last couple of weeks, where it's like you think you're doing enough, you're not doing enough. Do you know what I mean?
Does that give you that buzz though, as obviously a boxing fan, that there's always something else to learn? Because you've seen, obviously, Adam, you've been around Adam for years. Pedro's in the mix, you've been over to Floyd, you've seen that variety. Does that give you, as someone who's in love with boxing, that thrill for it, that motivation, kind of that bit between your teeth to say, you know what, I can add that to my game as well? Flying.
this is not respectfully. This is not a thick sport, right? It's not a thick sport. There's some serious science that goes into this. There's some serious chess play that goes into this, and it all the more reason. I think you have to become Picasso with it. You have to paint your own pictures. You have to paint your own ideologies. See if it actually works. And every single fighter is going to test you to see whether it suits them. It's very easy to learn one style and try to feed that style to every single fighter, right? And I think that's the most incorrect thing to do. We're all built and sized up, shaped up differently, and accordingly is what you have to give the fighters according to what their stature is, what their qualities are, what they're good at. And I do love it. I love the challenge. I love learning. I'll continue to learn. Are you with me? And I'll try my best, inshallah, to continue holding it down and being humble with it. Till, inshallah, one day I'll become the world's best coach. Hall of Famer, baby. Are you with me?
Look, have you got a message you want to sign off on? Obviously, before Michael's fight this Saturday, you got a message?
Mixed fight week, baby. Always the best week. And like I said, we're this close away. Like he said, this close away, inshallah, from crowning the king champ. Are you with me? Massive shout out to all the sponsors because it's been a good year thus far, and it's a massive thank you to them. Paycom, Gatsby Law, New Era. Thank you very much.